that we would like to share with you all. But the idea is for you to be able to bring your expertise, challenges, doubts, and even solutions to this scenario that we are out of a sudden, willful or not, remote workers. And for some, we already had the parenting work, but it was, for some, made easier when our children were at school or with their grandparents or even with some friends helping. But all of a sudden, our personal and our professional lives got fused together, and we just had to cope with all those responsibilities. Companies are demanding sometimes even more than they already demand before COVID, and our children are not getting easier as they grow. I don't know how it is for you, but whenever I feel that I'm getting the hang of it, my daughter itself develops, and then it makes me just become oblivious about what to do for some time. So I'm a coach trainer for AWA for sure, but I'm also really interested in the whole conscious parenting movement. And by the ways of a friend, I got to know Cristina, who is a conscious parenting facilitator. And we just got together and we started talking about how we could collaborate. And we're going to detail this a little bit further along the way. So first of all, thanks, Cristina, for accepting the challenge for the second time. And we hope you all also enjoy what we do together here.
Thank you, Rafa. It's a pleasure to be here with all of you. I'm very happy to share to share these concepts, these experiences, and to be with you. And I hope you are all safe and enjoy this time.
Yes. So let's do it. So before we begin, we would like to know from you from where you are connecting, so you can share your location. If you are a parent or not, it's totally okay if you're not a parent, because what we are going to share also, in our opinion, applies to teams or to any kind of collaboration between people. But you are a parent, share if you have kids and their ages, and your current job or position or profession, so that we can also adapt what we share with your current context, okay? So if you don't see Zoom chat, on your Zoom window on the bottom, it has a chat button, or bate-papo if it's in Portuguese. Yeah, I see some of you already wrote.
Yeah.
Awesome, cool.
New York.
Yes, all the way from the US, London, Porto, nice. Germany. Cool. Istanbul, wow, so cool. Am I saying your name correctly? Begum or Bigum? How do I pronounce it, if you can hear it?
Yeah, I can hear you. It's Begum. Actually, it's U.
Begum. Is that it?
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Begum. Nice. I would try to keep it together. Canada. Wow. Welcome, Sylvia. Posadouros, UK, Edinburgh. Aha, nice. Different context scenarios. London's. Nice. Yeah, people without kids, which is awesome also, because you can bring this no parent perspective, where you still have your sanity in place. Luxembourg, nice. Great. A lot of different. Keep them coming. Wow. Envy of 6. So definitely something that you can use. Yeah. Okay. As I said in the beginning, sorry, Phil, we are still grabbing some feedback from you. Just, okay, thank you for that. So work and family got mixed. And for example, today I'm able to cope with this because for the first time in 3 months, our daughter is with our father and mother-in-law. Here in Portugal, the lockdown is loosened up, so we are starting to be able to actually see other people. And I even forgot how easier can life be if you are just working. Being able to balance work and family life and education and dealing with everything that my daughter is naturally going with without any support from school or even other people have been quite challenging. And I'm not here, and I believe Cristina is also not here from the position of us being perfect parents, that we have all the answers. No. But we wanted to bring a space for us to think, reflect, and also brainstorm about the links between raising a child or raising multiple children and the challenges that we face in organizations and teams. And it never made much more sense than now, because those lives are literally fused together. And to be able to address a little bit further what for you is to be in these situations, we are going to use Zoom breakout rooms, which is a really, really cool feature that allows us to split up the discussion between smaller groups. And we are going to create rooms of 2 people, so just a pair, where the idea is for you to have a small conversation answering those questions, all of them or at least some of them. What it means to be a parent to you, even if you don't have kids, but you are you were a children or child one day, so you had at least one way of parenting. What it means to be a team leader, a member, and what are the biggest challenges of both. Okay, it's just going to be really, really fast. I'm going to give you just 2 to 3 minutes. Probably at the end of the 3 minutes, you still have something to say, but then we will give another opportunity for you to or share in the chat, or if we have time to do another round about this, okay? So the 2-3 minutes are for both of you to answer. So I'm creating the rooms, and you should see a pop-up in your screen asking you to join a breakout room, okay? Cristina and Gary, I'm gonna leave you in the main room for now, okay?
Okay, Rafa?
Yes.
I think that we talk about 10 minutes. I'm not sure if...
So the first round would be 2 to 3 minutes, and then if we have more time, we are gonna swap rounds again, okay?
Okay.
Brilliant.
So CB, I don't know if you are hearing us. We don't know what your name is. Hopefully you're receiving the breakout pop-up. If not, just let us know in the chat, please. Because otherwise Ash will be alone. I'm gonna move him to another room. Okay.
Cool.
Okay. CB, are you there? Just send us a message if you need it. Okay.
Oh, no video.
I have no video
on PC.
Oh, okay. No
trouble, CB.
Okay. Yes. If you can use your mic, that's perfectly fine. Okay. Even without video, you are able to have a conversation. If you cannot even use your mic, then stay here with us and share on the chat what does it mean to be a parent to you, or what team leader, and what are your biggest challenges in any of the areas, okay? Use another cool tool to extract the amazing knowledge that you share between yourselves on those breakout rooms. So just tell me whenever you see my screen. Can you see it? Cool.
Yes.
So we are using Slido for this. If you already used it, it's pretty straightforward. You can just point your supporting phone to that QR code over there, or you can just it can also be on your mobile phone and access slido.com. And then when it asks for the event code, just my internet connection just dropped, so I lost you for some moments. But yeah, as you place your answers in Slido, they are going to appear here on the screen. You can add more than one answer. Just share what you would like. And as you share, I'm going to read some for you.
Yeah, we have some here. Being patient.
Mm-hmm.
Give everyone equal attention.
Mm-hmm.
Keeping, wait, lots of answers. Lead by example.
Mm-hmm.
Agree with the partner how to solve different challenges for the kids. Agree with top managers about key stuff.
The extra time has to be spent teaching, supervising, keeping teams focused, managing my own expectations around being great. Yeah. Yeah.
Being fair.
Yes. Managing the energy. Yes. It just feels that like the world raised the bar for all of us, and I personally wasn't ready for that. So it brought a lot of reflection, not only as a father but also as a team member, or as a coach and everything. Cool. Keep them coming. In the sake of time, we are going to move on, but we are going to address those topics as we go through, okay? Thanks for sharing. So who we are. Cristina, like to briefly introduce you?
Yes, of course. Hi, my name is Cristina Batalha. I'm a woman, I'm a mother. My son is now 4 years old. I'm graduated in economics, and the beginning of my career was in the consultancy, in management consultant area. So I worked as a management, mainly in the change management area, and my passion for the personal development was starting to increase. So I started to study coaching and NLP and conscious parenting. So today is what I do. I changed my career and I help people to transform their lives to more aligned lives, and through the mindfulness, through coaching, and in conscious parenting to create more meaningful and connected relationships with kids and all the relationships. So I think that is a great way. The way that we raise our children is a great way to raise ourselves and to change the consciousness, our consciousness, and the world at the same time. So I'm very happy to be here with you. Feel free to ask any questions if you have, and enjoy.
Yeah, thank you, Cristina. I'm Rafa Ribeiro, as Gary also introduced. I consider to be a totally amateur father. I'm going back to surf after lockdown, which was also really hard for me to be. I love photography, and And my current focus, besides working as a coach trainer with AWA, is to create a bridge between parenting, leadership, and education. I say that these are the triad for change in the world. Because if we change the way we raise kids, the way we teach kids, and the way we lead people, then our world would be in a different place. And I cannot separate those three aspects. They have much in common and in sync. And as I began walking towards more the coaching aspect or the facilitation, and I did a postgrad with human development with expressive arts, I could reflect how my childhood and my raising, because I started as an IT engineer, really narrowed my vision of the world and my vision about myself. Until I did a postgrad, I thought that I was my brain and that my body and my emotions were just answering my brain's needs. I become aware that it's much more than that. And after I become a father, I think I entered the biggest transformation of my life, and I'm still going through it. So it just made sense to me to connect this power of transformation of parenting to other areas of society in general, namely education and leadership. Gary also already shared about AWA, so it's all about making work-life better. And now we are workers and parents, most of us, or at least a majority of us. So doing one better will also influence the other. What we have for today is sharing a little bit of connection between all of us. Oh, sorry. We will share some knowledge around not only teams, but also about conscious parenting. We hope to bring you some practical tools and a pause for reflection. We would like to know what is your agenda. So what are the intentions and main goals that you have for this meetup? So please share on the chat any doubt, questions, or intentions and goals that you would like to have achieved by the end of these 2 hours that we are together. Okay, so new mindsets around being a parent, and also agile principles, how to coach children and adults. Anything else from anyone else, or similar or different? Not to return to the status quo that was before. Yes, how will the world be? How to combine those practices? Yes, thanks. Ivailo, how do I pronounce your name? Ivailo?
Yeah, it's Ivailo.
Ivailo. Okay, cool. Nice to meet you, Ivailo. Okay, keep them coming in the chat if you remember something. Again, it's just for us to also adapt the session, so to better serve your needs and expectations. How to become a better parent and agilist, even in this current environment, and a brief intro to conscious parenting. Okay, I think we are in sync. Cristina, what do you think?
Sorry?
I think we are in sync with what they are sharing with us.
Yes, okay. yes, we are.
Cool. Okay. So again, keep those expectations coming. But let's just dig into what we want to share with you all. So teams and parents, what are the similarities? So Cristina, what do you think are the similarities?
Yeah, I just want to say at first that we were already, it's curious because we were already studying and connecting these two areas. And now with this pandemic world, this connection makes even more sense. So the challenges that we were facing now are becoming even intensified. So we want to share what is this connection. To share this connection, we find some keywords that we think that relate these two areas. So We are talking about people. We are talking about relationships. We are talking about communication. We are talking about systems, a systemic vision. We are talking about interdependency. And we are talking about personal growth, conflict management.
Yeah.
Connection, trust, and vulnerability. So in families, as in teams, these words are key to in a way that we connect with each other, and we become better, and we develop with each other. So this was the starting point for this work.
Then, sorry, Cristina, you wanted to
go
add
ahead,
something
go
else?
ahead. Start with the project Aristotle. Yes, go ahead.
So some of you may have heard about this project. It was a project that Google devised to try to understand what were the commonalities between the successful teams that they had. And it was interesting because they could not find any external or physical characteristic that would tell them that, okay, so a team of introverts is successful, or no, a team of extroverts is successful, or a mixed team is successful, or a team that goes out after work is successful. There was no apparent reason for what made a team successful at Google. It was only when they start to look at the way people treated each other that they start to find what the characteristics of a successful team were, and what were the common characteristics of the team. Disregard the way the team was set up or the individual traits and characteristics of the people. So this made breathe the Google Rework project. And I was having a brainstorm with Cristina, and we were talking about, okay, so what are the key aspects of conscious parenting? And okay, so what are the key aspects of a successful team? And we then started to brainstorm about, there are a lot of similarities in these two areas.
So starting with the conscious parenting, I bring a quote from Jon Kabat-Zinn, which says, mindful parenting is the hardest job on the planet, but it's also one that has the potential for the deepest kinds of satisfactions over the lifespan, and the greatest feelings of interconnectedness and community and belonging. So this approach, this concept was created by Jon Kabat-Zinn, that brings the mindfulness to the relationship with our kids. And the main focus is to create a strong relationship, a secure attachment between us and our children, and to promote a healthy self-esteem. And the focus is the development of all the parts, the adult and the child. And the focus is also our own transformation. So, we have to transform in order to lead by example, as you said. So we want in this journey, which is the conscious parenting, and we want to reconnect with our intrinsic and the innate skills. We have to break with the beliefs and patterns about our own education, and to reconnect with our intentions, with our essence, our true nature, so we can give to the children the space and the presence they need to be who they really are. So how we do this? By looking behind the behavior, seeing more than the behavior, seeing what is happening inside the children. So the behavior is the communication of the difficulties that the children is feeling, the emotions that are behind the communication. So behind the behavior, sorry. So to introduce the conscious parenting, that's it. So to better understand, we divide the traditional and the conscious parenting to understand the differences. So when in the traditional way of parenting, we are focused on the right or wrong, we're focusing the manipulation of the behavior. In the conscious parenting approach, we are looking for connection. We are looking for cooperation. We are looking for understanding the person who is in front of us. Also, we in the traditional way, we focus on the rewards and punishments. In the conscious way, in the conscious parenting, we are looking for feelings, emotions, the needs of the child, and our own feelings, emotions, and needs. So the focus in the traditional parenting way is the behavior and correct the behavior. And in the conscious parenting, the focus is the need and the satisfy, understand, and satisfying the needs, the emotional need or physical need that is occurring in each moment. In the traditional way is hierarchical. We have rules and we have power struggles. And in the consciousness way, we have equal value. We are looking for personal integrity, our own, and the personality, the integrity of our children. The emotions that are present in the traditional way were blame, shame, anger. In the conscious parenting, we are looking for compassion, joy, empathy, acceptance. Even there are moments that we feel anger and all the emotions, we give space to all these emotions, but we offer to our children more compassion, more joy, more empathy, more acceptance about who they are. So we look behind the behavior. In the traditional way, we are worried about the past or worried about the future or anxious about the future. And in the conscious parenting, we are present in the moment and seeing what is happening in each moment and act accordingly in alignment with our intentions, the intentions that we have in the relationship. So the focus is the relationship and the quality of the relationship that we have. In the traditional way, we are very focused in the self-confidence, more about the exterior confidence, parent confidence, and in conscious parenting, we are focusing more in the self-esteem. So we are helping our children to feel good with the things that they like about them and the things that they don't like about them, and deal with all of the life as it is. So more self-esteem. Maybe you are starting to asking, is conscious parenting permissive? And the answer is no, it's not permissive. In the traditional way of education, we see that the adult is on the center, as the power, as more value, as more authority. And in the permissive way, the children is on the center. So is the children leads, the children has all the desires satisfied. They do everything they want. So they have no limits. This is not good for raising and develop healthy self-esteem. So the conscious parenting brings a different approach where the equal value of the both parts is predominant. So even the adult has more responsibility in the relationship, economic responsibility, the guarantee the security of the child, and they don't have more value. So the emotions, the needs, the opinions of the children has the same value as the adults. It makes sense to you? Any doubts from now? We are explaining more what is the equal value in the next slides. But if you have doubts, feel free to ask.
Yes, we are going to get more practical in all this.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that many of you who are aware or in tune with the new ways of working that Agile and Lean and design thinking and user-centric organizations or even non-hierarchical organizations are bringing, you start to see some similarities, right? It's like, oh, I heard this before somewhere. And this was exactly the brainstorm that Cristina and I was having. So when she was telling me the pillars of conscious parenting, I was bringing the models that I've met and know from the team perspective. So just some to bring it. So the theory X versus the theory Y of management, where the theory X, it symbolizes this position. And I'm pretty sure that disregard the culture that you are in, if you are like this, you symbolize something. You block, you are closed, you don't want stuff, you've pushed things away. And the theory Y, when you have your hands wide open like this, it just brings the sense that you are open, you are ready to receive whatever comes, you are grateful, you feel pleasure. And into more detail, it's a lot about, in the theory X, people avoid work, they need control, they avoid responsibility, they only want money and because they fear losing their job, and they don't have creativity, or they have, but just to break the rules. And because people are like that on the left side, we need to control them. We need to place a carrot in front of them so that they are motivated to do the things that we want them to do. On the theory Y, we believe that people actively seek work. They are self-directed and self-organized. They seek and accept responsibility. They fulfill their potential, and they fully believe that they are creative. So many concepts like this also map to what Cristina was telling about the conscious parenting. It's a different way to look at the world. Organizations have been changing from the idea that the leader have all the answers and the leader is the center of the world and the team is peripheral around it, so they do what the leader said. We are not talking about anarchy. We are not talking about everyone do what they want and everyone have their desires pleased. No, what we want is a more equal relationship, where it doesn't matter if you are the leader or the team member, it doesn't matter if you are the senior or the junior, everyone have an equal value. And this was also what Google and Professor Amy Edmonds, who coined the term psychological safety, it stated on their studies. People are their best when they feel psychologically safe. And this means that they feel they have an equal voice, that they can say what they want and what they are afraid of or what they desire without the fear of being punished. And we're going to dig into details. This also happens into a parenting relationship. And many of you may, as we dig down in the examples, remind back of moments where you remove the equal value from the equation. I certainly did. As I said, I'm not a perfect parent, but being conscious about this makes the whole difference. So again, motivation theory. If you ever read the Dan Pink Drive book, it's all about finding the purpose, mastery, and autonomy to do stuff. So it made me wonder, okay, so does this work with my daughter also? Maybe it does. So who knows? So we are going to share some techniques or tips on how you can actually bring those concepts to your family, or you can pick those amazing concepts that you have in your family and apply with your teams.
Another quote. When you pay attention to the beginning of a story, you can change the whole story. This is a quote from a series in the Netflix that we recommend, The Beginning of Life. It's very interesting, and they talk about the importance of the first years of a child in their development, So the programs that we run in our mind, they are linked to the first years of our life. The words that we say, our internal judge,
self-talk, yeah, self-talk.
The self-talk, the self-talk that we hear in our mind was programmed in the beginning of our life when we were a child, and we don't have consciousness about this. So the purpose is to create an environment where the children can grow in a positive environment, in a positive environment that help them to grow, being who they truly are. So the first years of the life of a child are very, very, very important. So this is why we are talking about this, and linked in link with the teams and the leadership, because the skills that we want to promote today are thank you, Rafa.
Yes, as Cristina was saying, yes.
We can start to develop them and to create an environment to develop them as since we are a child,
yeah, certainly.
So
I don't know if any of you feel like this, but as a coach, as a team coach, especially, many times where I'm facing really difficult situations, I now try to see the child behind those behaviors. And I can almost visualize how that person was raised. So if you feel that you are facing a really authoritative leader, imagine that person in his household. If he or she had a really authoritative father, and then to school, imagine that he had also role models of really authoritative teachers. How can we expect that that person that had role models of authority their whole life come to nowadays organizations and promote self-organization and autonomy and collaborative and divergent thinking? The role models were just not there. They can change, so it doesn't mean that this self-talk cannot be changed after we achieve a certain age, but the first years are really fundamental because they are going to get so ingrained in our children's brain. So the sooner we make that change, the better, the easier it will be. And when we say easy or to create a positive environment, it doesn't mean it's going to be all roses and there's not going to be any more fightings or any more discussions. No, we are not talking about this. We are just bringing awareness to the relationship we create with our children or with the teams. Michael Sahota talks a lot about conscious leadership. He talks about the beginning of an agile transformation per se is the self-transformation of the leaders. We talked a lot about this on how the enterprise agility, it's also about how transformative can be the leadership to also change the role model and change the behaviors we see in the organization. So it's all about becoming more conscious and more aware of the relationships we create.
Yeah, because the first relationships that we have with our parents set the tone of the other relationships that we are going to have along our life, at personal life and work life. So this modeling, it's very important. So go ahead.
Yeah, and I love this quote that Cristina showed to me, is that basically the family is the microcosm of the world. If we change families, if we change the way children are raised, we are changing the whole world, because we are setting the tone for the first role models for the new generations to come. And this is why we believe it's so important to also tackle this part, especially during these times that we are living in. So let's stop talking for a moment, Cristina, and maybe leave some work to the participants. So we present here the biggest 5 pillars of conscious parenting and the 5 keys of the Google Rework project. And what we prepare for you, Phil just shared the link to the Drive book on the chat. Thank you very much, Phil. So what we prepare for you is a small exercise sheet where you will discuss in a group what are the patterns or similarities that you find between those 2 areas. So instead of me and Cristina just telling us our perspective on those topics, we invite you to do this exercise with us. So we are going to use breakout rooms again. If you don't have video or sound capabilities, don't worry. You are going to have a chat in the breakout room also. So you can just make sure that one of you are able to access the document I'm going to share on the chat, okay? And then as soon as you are in your group, just have a conversation about the similarities of those 2 values. On the exercise sheet we are going to send it, there is a bit of explanation about the topics itself. So you're not out in the dark, but we don't want to over explain, because we want you to also think for yourselves, what does it mean and how do they connect?
And there are not right or wrong answers. The purpose of this exercise is to reflect a little and connect some dots that we find that connect.
Yes. So what's going to happen is that each room will have a separate sheet on this document, okay? So when you are in your room, just notice on the top bar that is going to say breakout room number 1 or 2 or 3, and use the sheet accordingly, okay? Did everyone understood? More or less? Okay. So can
you still send the link? Because I don't see it in the chat.
Yeah, I didn't send it by intentionally, because as soon as I send, people will start clicking and I will lose everyone. So the only thing that happened was when I dropped out, I lost my host powers. So who is the host right now? Oh, Gary, could you make me the host again, please? Okay, thank you. So here's the document. I'm gonna recreate the breakout rooms. So let's try to have around 3 people per room, or 4, because we are not on an even number.
It says I need access, Rafa. I just hit request access. Is that okay? Or do you want to share it publicly?
No, you should not have. It's probably something
You change the edit rights.
Yes, I'm going to change the way that it's set up. Just a sec. So anyone with the link can edit. So please refresh the page. And you should be able to edit.
Yep.
Yes? Awesome. Okay, so I'm opening the rooms. You will have roughly 10 minutes for this discussion. If we see that you are finished earlier, then of course we will call you back. So the rooms are now open. Make sure you choose the right sheet, conversation. And we invite one volunteer from each group. You have only 1 minute each to share your main insights or the highlights of your conversation. Who would like to go first?
Hi, Rafa, it's Ben. I'm happy to go first.
Okay,
so
thank you, Ben.
I may not take a whole minute. So we struggled a little bit with our technology. I was the only one able to see the list together. So we spent a lot of time me reading it out. I think that the takeaways were that the two lists, the conscious parenting and the rework, it felt like you could move items between the two and that would be completely valid. You know, that they were written not quite in the same language, but massively with the same intent. So I think that was a takeaway. We were kind of initially looking, my thoughts were like, oh, this is the same as that. They're not quite, they're really similar though. So we didn't get too much further than that, but just acknowledging that, you know, there were good lists with the same sentiment, but written in a slightly different way.
Awesome, awesome. As Cristina said, there is no right answer. And what we wanted to empower was a conversation around that. Thanks for that. Next one, who would like to share? Dun, 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 dun. You can do it on the chat also if you're not comfortable speaking up. Just that we were in and out of your rooms and the conversations were so thoughtful that it would be a waste to be close to your own small group.
I can share if
yes,
if I may.
Please. Yes.
So we discussed that actually things from the left seems to be like more at personal level that actually are prerequisite for the teams on the right, which are kind of more on the team level. And then even we discussed that maybe we're missing the third part, which is organizational level. So we can read it in one way of reading this could be that in order to have psychological safety, you need to have team members with good intention, to connect, to be honest, to work, to do a good job, and so on. Basically, theory Y. And then for the second one, kind of the same thing. So in order to have people to depend on each other, they need to respect each other, to see each other as whole person, as meaning not just professionals, but just person that they can trust and so on. And then for the third one, in a similar way, in order to have structure and clarity for those and so on, people should have integrity. They should know each other's. I should know myself first before being able to know how what I'm bringing as skills can fit in the whole of the team. And for that, I need to understand myself, and I need integrity, and also I need to act in an integrative way, in harmony with my values. But first, I need to know my values.
Okay.
And then the fourth one is with impact. In order to have impact, I need to act in an authentic way, again in harmony with my values, because if not, the impact will be always limited. And then the fourth one is in order to have a meaning in a team, and that we do something meaningful and to have a big impact in general. Then obviously I need to know how to take responsibility, act on it, and then if things go wrong, I need to be authentic enough honest enough and to say things are not going okay, I need help and stuff like that. So being vulnerable, being open, being honest, know how to listen and act with integrity, for me is a key stuff for a good team.
Awesome.
And
Really
then I'm still
interesting.
missing. I'm still
Sorry,
missing the third column.
I need to cut you because you blown out your minutes.
Yeah, sure.
No worries.
Thank you.
No worries. You can drop the third, the final piece on the chat because, well, me and Cristina never thought of things that way, and it certainly start to light some ideas in our head. So we'd love to hear the other output of your group. It's just for the sake of time. We only have time for another group. So if it's not you, please share in the chat if you have something. So any last sharing before we move on?
One of the things, we obviously had technical difficulties in our room, so Charlie had no mic, but myself and Phil were discussing it, and we kind of talked a bit more around COVID-19 and isolation and how things are affecting us. But we do see connections between the two of them, but the biggest obstacles we see is roles hierarchies are a challenge, and how are the in conscious parenting, how are those roles and hierarchy visible, I guess? So you structure and clarity in your teams and everybody understands what they're doing, but then in your conscious parenting, how do we deal with that as well? There's probably more a question back to the group than our connection or comparison.
Thank you. So I'm going to share my screen. When Rafa is coming back. So now we are talking about the power of intention. Intentions are fundamental in these both contexts. So the intentions determine who we want to be and how we want to show up, and as a mother, as a father, as a team member, as a team leader. So the intention as power and guide our thoughts, our behaviors, our actions, our emotions. So let me ask you, what is the best way to be a parent or a leader? Please share with us on the chat if you found this way. Share with us, please. Are you hearing me?
Yeah? I can hear you.
Okay,
yes.
okay.
Sorry, my computer just restarted. So Cristina, if you could take on, and I will continue when I can.
Yeah. I'm sharing the screen, my screen.
Everything that can goes wrong for Rafa goes wrong.
Exactly. It's just that this is such a powerful topic that Zoom cannot handle. But please go on, Cristina. Don't wait for me, please.
Okay, I'm sharing the screen and move ahead.
Yes.
So, as I was saying, okay, let me see. Showing empathy, for self-help, listen, make others grow, emotional intelligence, support, listen to understand. Good. So who defines the best way? The answer is there are no right or wrong formulas. Everything depends on our intention. So many parents ask me, am I doing right? Am I doing well? And I answer, I don't know, but tell me, what is your intention in your relationship with your kid? And I tell you, and we can work from there. So we can evaluate if if you are doing are aligned or not with your intentions, who you want to be for your kids. Yeah? This makes sense for you? Yeah, and as the teams, as in the context of the teams, is the same. So what is the best tool, best framework, best practice? It depends on our intention. It depends on what we are talking about. So it also depends on our intention. Oh, sorry. So when I started to talk about conscious parenting, I talk about intentions, and this is the starting point when we are talking about conscious parenting and conscious teams. It's about our intention, and remembering really what is our intention allows us to align with our heart, with our minds, with our behaviors, with our thoughts. And if we disalign, if we are not congruent with our intentions, we can always adjust. So to be more concrete, if I want my kids to be happy, who I have to be to my kid to be happy, who I have to be to my kids, who I have to bring to this relationship. Am I happy? So this is some questions that starting to pop up to guide our way of living these relationships. So when we talk about intentions, sometimes we get confused and we are lost in expectations, which are a little bit different. So intentions are about us, are about how we want to show up as parents and as colleagues. Okay, it's in our control. Okay, which environment I want to create in my family, which environment I want to create in my team, if I want my child to be empathetic or respectful, am I helping them to develop these skills? Okay, this is about intention. Expectations are about our kids and how they should, according to us, behave. So when we expect, we are projecting in our kids some sense of lack, some sense of they are not accepted as they are. There's something that they should do to be loved, to be accepted. So this is the main difference. Does it make sense to you, this difference, expectations and intentions? And the intentions are, we are talking about us, how we want to be, how we want to show up in the relationship with our team members, with our kids. Expectations is a thought that how I think that things should be. I'm not accepting the reality and the person who is in front of me.
So it's basically relinquishing control, right? Because as our kids grow older, we become aware that we cannot control them. We should learn this right from the beginning, but we may try to still have some control over their lives, but it will get to a point of a stream when they are going to choose their college, they're going to move out, they're going to choose their friends, and we cannot control anymore, literally. So why focusing on things that we can control and instead focusing on things that we can control? How do we show up? I cannot control how a colleague or a teammate is going to react in a retrospective, but I can have an intention. the kind of environment I want to create in a retrospective. For that to happen, what do I need to do? How do I need to behave? How do I need to present myself? So it's the same either in the family or in the team.
Yeah, that's
and I'm back on my computer, so
yeah. So
Cristina, in the sake of time, I'm noticing that we will really need to crack on into our end practice.
Yeah. Let's move on. Do you want to go ahead, Rafa?
Just one or two examples of the intention and expectations. So I'm going to have fun with my kid is an intention. I hope my kid have fun is an expectation. I will try to positively influence my work environment and be an agent of the change that I can see is an intention. I think my colleagues will get their tasks done on time is an expectation. Or I hope that my colleagues accept this new backlog planning, or they open themselves up in the retrospective is an expectation we cannot control.
Yeah, just a few minutes, 3 minutes to reflect about this that we just shared.
I think it will need to be less, Cristina. Sorry, so 1 minute. Is that okay?
Okay. So the questions for reflection are, what kind of parent colleague I want to be? What kind of environment I want to promote in my family, team? How I would like to be remembered by my children and teammates. So if you don't have time to respond right now, bring these questions for you and reflect in another time when you connect with yourself, that the insights maybe.
You still have 40 seconds though.
Yeah.
Yes, you still have 40 seconds. So if you have a pen and a paper, write at least one intention. How you would like to be remembered by your children or your teammates. This, I think, it's the most powerful question because it talks about the legacy and the lack of control that we have over life. We are in a situation where life can end tomorrow, or for us or for other people. So how would you like to be remembered? What impact would you like to give on those people's life? A great example, Ash. Thanks for that, Phil. Also, okay.
Kind, enabling others to be their best. That's a good example.
And time's up. So keep
Kind,
them coming
patience.
on the chat.
Okay.
So it seems, Cristina, that we will need to power through the values again.
Okay.
Do you prefer for me to share? Is it easier for you on your laptop?
The screen.
Yes.
For me, it's okay. It's okay.
Okay.
So to close this reflection now, just evaluate if you are aligned from 0 to 10. Find if your behaviors and intentions are aligned. Okay. And let's move on and correct if they are not. Adjust. So to conclude, the intentions are the guiding light, are our guiding map where we can always return when we get lost, when we are facing challenging times and moments. So we can come back to our intention, our guiding light. And now we are starting with the values from the conscious parenting values that we linked to the context of the teams also. So how do we feel when our voice is not heard? Yeah? How do we feel? Do you remember as a child to not feel seen or heard or valued? How was that feeling? I think that every one of us can remember some moments that we were not feeling valued. So the purpose of this value is that, as I shared before, the child's needs, opinions, desires, and emotions have the same value as the adults. So in the context of teams is the same thing. Each team member has a unique perspective, and all voices are heard regardless of their hierarchical position. So this is a value that is applicable in both contexts. I don't know if you want to add something, Rafa?
No, feel free to. I will add it as we go.
Okay. So the value that we feel that we have in a relationship is fundamental to the development of the psychological safety and the development of our self-esteem. Okay. So 3 tips that we can use to implement in our daily life. What we can do, we can accept and respect that what other feel, think, says has the same value. We can empathetic listening in validating emotion, thoughts, and opinions without judgment, and create a safe space environment without judgment and fully inclusive. So it means that we are seeing behind the behavior, we are seeing the need behind the behavior, and we are compassionate with us, with ourselves, and with the others. So, an example in real life. My son, Santiago, has 4 years, and now in these quarantine times, he is also saying, I want to eat something. And in a way, if I don't respect this value, I can say, you are always eating, if you can pass the whole day eating food. And when I talk like this, I'm not respecting my kids. So one alternative way is to we just finished your lunch or your dinner. Strange, you are hungry? Because we have to understand that needs is different from desire. So what is expressing is the desire to eat, but is not hungry. So understand this difference help me to talk with him, respecting the desire and deciding if it's okay to eat or not eat. I don't know if I explain well.
Yeah, maybe I can give also another example that may connect with what you're saying, Cristina. So I was in a meeting and my daughter wanted to show me the drawings she was making. And they are lovely, but I could not stop that meeting. So at first I said, really silently, daughter, I will attend to you in a moment. And what happened? 5 minutes later, she's right beside me trying to showing that drawing. And I could push her away again, but I knew that it was going to come back to me later. So I just told the people in the meeting, I said, I need a second. And I went to my daughter and said, Luana, I know you want to show me your drawing. I really like the drawings that you make to me, but Daddy is in a meeting now. And I literally show her that there were people talking to me. And she was okay. She's not embarrassed by this kind of stuff. She's not an adult, so she totally dig that. And I tell her, as soon as that meeting ends, I'm gonna go and see your drawing. Is that okay? And she said, yep. Boom. Yeah. Off she go. So I value her need. I didn't give what she wanted, but I value and respected her need. And that gave me a little bit of freeway to go forward. Yeah. And we need to move on, Cristina, otherwise we won't be able to get to the 4 values. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
So 30 seconds reflection.
Reflection. How do I practice the equal value with my family or teammates or teammates? What would change with my children team if this value was even more present?
If you have a pen and a paper, write up. If you want to share in the chat, also feel free to. We have 3 more values to go.
Yeah. So.
Okay, I think we can move on, Cristina.
Okay, let's go. If you want to share in the chat, please.
Yes.
So the next value is the respect for integrity. So when we disrespect the integrity, it has a detrimental effect on our self-esteem. So how many times we disrespect our integrity in favor of what is required of us externally. So be aware of the ways you are disrespecting yourself. So in parenting, respect for integrity, it is the sum of everything that we are at any given moment. Here we talk about limits. We talk about physical and psychological needs. So the way we express and we communicate our needs and our limits is the best way to develop this in our children. So if we respect ourselves, the others will learn to respect ourselves, respect us, and respect themselves too, in the case of the kids. And in the teams, we provide an environment where everyone feels safe to take risks and be vulnerable. The stronger and healthier each individual, the stronger the group will be. So this is powerful. So the more we respect our integrity, the more we respect the others' integrity in the full team. Does this make sense to you? Okay. 3 tips. I don't know, Rafa, if you want to add or to move on, feel free. Okay.
Yes, sure. Thank you.
3 tips. Identify the needs, the emotional, physical, or mental needs behind the behavior. Respect the limits and communicate your own, both ways. And adjust the ratio between challenge and skill. So this ratio is to understand if the moment that we are living is to give more challenge and give more autonomy and challenge, or is to just to give safety and connection and
support.
And support. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yes. So in real life,
sorry.
Example, me and my wife were in a country house with Luana and our dog. She was outside playing with our dog called Zappa, and we only had one key for the house, and we left the key on the outside of the outer side of the door because it was the only way to open the door. So we were afraid that if we went out of the door and closed it with the key inside, we wouldn't be able to enter the house again. So I'm cleaning the dishes. My wife is wrapping up in the bedroom. I just hear the door do like this, clack. I look at the living room. There is no Luana. I just yell to my wife, Luana's outside playing with the dog, right? And my wife says, yes. And I just yelled at her, okay, she just locked us inside the house. I go to the door. There is no way to get out. There is only one small window leading to the outside. And when I look at it, Luana is playfully playing with the keys. At that moment, I just breathe, call Luana and say, hello, beautiful. It seems that you locked mommy and daddy inside. I need your help to open the door. And she was 2 years old. She never locked the door before, so I knew it was going to get tricky. So I tried to help her because she was like really, really short and trying to do stuff. I look outside, there was a chair. I said, Luana, there is a chair over there. Grab the chair and bring it closer to the door. And she did. She climbed up the chair, tries to open, and she's basically doing this because she never opened a door by herself before. I'm trying to maintain my cool. My wife is slowly getting stressed. So I'm trying to keep my cool so that Luana doesn't get stressed. I don't get stressed. My wife doesn't get stressed. But at some time, trying to open the door, I slightly start to increase my level of stress and my voice. And Luana, who was playfully trying to open the door, just starts to do like this. And she looks at me, and I see tears forming in her eyes. And at that moment, I just give me a mental slap and say to myself, Rafael, stop. Your stress is influencing Luana. And the last thing you want is a kid stressed. So I just said, baby, I'm sorry. Daddy's getting a little bit stressed. And he raised his voice. So I'm more calm now. Let's try it again. And then she slowly starts to open up again. And then she finally is able to open the door. We make a huge party. We show her how she locked the door because she never knew how to lock doors. So I wanted to really ingrain in her brain how to do it in case she does it again at another time. And we were respecting her integrity and adjusting the skill that she had to the challenge she had. And the moment I lost my temper, I lost the connection to her. And this happens in teams also. The moment we lose our temper and we stress over something, this is felt on the other end. And people start to shut down. So the first step of respecting each other's integrity is to also respect our integrity. Am I being out of place? Am I getting stressed? Am I bringing the emotional charge to the conversation? To be able to also create a space where people can be respected. 30 seconds for reflection.
How do I practice respect for integrity with my family and or teammates? What would change with my children team if this value was even more present?
Okay, time's up.
Yeah. So let's move on to the next value, authenticity. So the authenticity is fundamental when we want to connect and when we want to promote the quality of our relationships. And to be authentic means to give up the need of perfection. So when we want to be perfect, we are not authentic. So being authentic, authentic means we have to be honest with our own fears and our own limits, and it means that we are vulnerable. So when we are authentic, we can create trusting relationships. Our authentic, trusting, and collaborative relationships created. Authenticity. In the parent side, it means that we honor, express who we are in any situation, trying to create an environment of presence, openness, and truth. This means that we obviously have conflicts and have misunderstandings and have tantrums, both sides. But this is okay if we have space to be authentic. In the case of teams, we want to build an environment of interdependence where there is openness and truth, and we create moments of constructive dialogue between teams without fear of criticism, judgments, or consequences. And we promote a psychological safety environment, as we just see in the previous slides. 3 tips to promote the authenticity in families and in teams. Communicate with iMessage in an authentic and congruent way. iMessage means that I talk about me, my feelings, my emotions, my perceptions, my opinions, without judging the other. So I observe and I say what I want to say, only about me. I use the I message. And so we talk about our emotions, opinions, needs, flaws, and imperfections. And in some way, as parents, we sometimes we think that we have to be perfect, or we don't. We shouldn't be vulnerable or show our imperfections. But this is the main lesson that we can teach our kids. If we are always perfect, how would they learn to deal with their imperfection? So this is important, and describe our experience without blaming the child or the team. Yeah. Rafa, go on.
Yes, we have a really similar scenario. So I'm just going to share, and then we can move on to the next value.
Yeah.
So I was with Filipa, and we were leaving Luana's for the first time, or one of the first time in my father and mother-in-law, and we were kind of like sneaking out without her realizing. And then all of a sudden, Luana started to throw tantrums, behave like she never do, or at least almost never do. And I was just wondering, something is happening here. We are not telling her what we are doing, and she's just changing her behavior. So I called her and said, Luana, this is what's happening. And she had 1.5 years. She wasn't even able to speak properly at the time. I called her and said like this, Luana, I and mommy need to have some time on our own, because we are a couple before being a parent, and we really miss to be with each other. So we will come back we will be here in 2 days time, but I and mommy really need this time now. She just do like this, okay, and then goes on and goes back to playing. And I was like, what happened? So she felt that I was being real with her. And another time I fucked up things, and I just said to her, Luana, sometimes I cannot be a good person and a good husband to mommy. And then she came to me and said, that's okay, daddy. When I hit you and mommy, I'm also a bad person. And I was like, what? Who are you? So when we open these vulnerabilities, they can surprise us with so much wisdom. And this also happens in teams. So Amy Edmondson, the teams that were able to really say outwards the errors they did were the most successful medical teams. And this is how psychological safety became known, because people were authentic on good and on bad stuff. And our 30-second reflection, and we can move on to the last value.
So how do I practice authenticity?
If you have a pen, write. If you want to share on the chat also. And last but not least,
personal responsibility. How do you develop autonomy, collaboration, and personal responsibility? So we want our children to be autonomous and responsible, but are we giving them space to develop these skills? Or in our teams, are we giving them other space to develop the autonomy, the collaboration, the responsibility? Yeah. For example, my 4-year-old kid loves helping housework, choosing his clothes or fix the toys. He loves taking responsibility of the things and contribute to the family as he can. So I observe this with I don't know, with the joy, pure joy, because he is increasing his confidence and his autonomy and his self-esteem as well, because he can do difficult things, hard things, important things. In parenting, this responsibility means we take responsibility for our lives, actions, choice, and let our children assume their responsibilities, the ones appropriate for their age. And in the case of the teams, each team member know exactly where the responsibility starts and ends, and there is clarity in its plans, goals, and objectives. So that's it. When everyone is responsible for their tasks, for their space, for their presence, for what they are bringing to the environment, for the collective, and every one of us grow and feel good in these relationships.
Yeah. And as parents, of course, that we may need to create a safe environment for them to slowly gain this autonomy. Like, for example, Luana loves to help us while we are cooking, but I don't expect her to be able to slice the tomatoes. I sometimes just grab a bucket of water and say, I need for someone to wash the mushrooms. Can you help me? And she loves it. Of course, she splashed all over the kitchen, but this is a way for me to include her in the house chores. She loves to vacuum stuff. Of course, I will probably need to vacuum later, but I'm slowly building that confidence and also spending time with my daughter. And in this time of age that we really need to use our time most effectively, for example, I don't need to pick her clothes anymore. 1 month ago, I had to, but now 15 minutes that I was picking the clothes, forcing her to dress herself, since she was the one to pick her clothes, she's much more willing to actually put them on.
Yeah.
So I gained 15 minutes. So many of the challenges that we have about dealing with this time we live now is to be creative and also create that safe environment for our children to slowly get more and more personal responsibility. And sometimes I don't have patience and I demand more than my child can give. And what happens? She closes out. And then I know, okay, I'm pushing too far. So I need to step down a little bit the level of challenge. Mm-hmm. So the tips that we have are mostly around that, right, Cristina?
Yeah, right. So the tips is about ask their opinion and give them space for what is their responsibility. Explore alternative possibilities, showing trust with important tasks. Include them even on difficult decisions that may affect them in any way.
Yeah.
So this is our tips.
Yeah.
About personal responsibility. And I think that in the times that we are facing, the challenges would be fewer if we keep practicing this personal responsibility. So I think that's a good value to keep in mind, to not overwhelm the parents or the kids to take responsibility for too much.
Yes, so just creating that space for them to grow as people and also with teams. So are we creating that space? If not, how can we improve on that?
Yeah.
Are the responsibilities that we are demanding from other people adjusted to also their personal integrity, to their skill set? So instead of blaming that they don't do what they do, how can we look at the chores and see, okay, how can I create that environment that they will be feel confident in improving on that? Asking them what they would like to do. Maybe they're just not doing what they like to do. How can you find motivation when you don't like the stuff that you do? So 30-second reflection, and we are blowing our time. So we will quickly wrap up everything so that you can go back to your lives outside this virtual room. Is it okay if I share now, Cristina?
No, go ahead.
Yeah. So if you could just stop the sharing, please, and I will.
Okay.
And hopefully my computer won't crash or restart. I'm telling you, this is such a huge topic that
we get excited about it.
Yeah, and we get resistance also.
Yeah.
So we were planning for you to have a practice round, but I'm assuming 8:30 London time is already late for many of you. So we can definitely do this other time on your own, because what we are going to ask is, based on the 4 values, write down and reflect what are your biggest insights. And then in your current context, what would be the greatest catalyst for change? So one of the 4 values, what would be the greatest catalyst for change, be it in your family and your team? And think for yourselves, one action, one small step that would further practice this value. So we won't have time to do this as a group, but I invite you to do this individually on your reflection time. We will send you this information afterwards so you can have this information with you. But we would like to move on to the conclusion so that we can all go back to our families. So in summary, parenting and teamwork. Tantrums and conflicts will continue to exist. Changes in plans will continue to exist. And moments of exhaustion will continue to exist. What changes is our conscious and how we deal with it. So using our own self-awareness, our creativity, and hopefully collaboration. So ask for help if you need. Reach to Cristina and I if you would like to, or just share with other parents, because this is not something that we normally do as parents. And also as team members, we don't accept and share our flaws as parents or as team members. So we don't allow for other people to actually help us. So please share and try to find safe spaces where you can talk about this stuff. And inspect and adapt, even on family. So we hold literally retrospectives. We don't do formally as retrospectives, but we from time to time, we talk about like, what are our intentions as a family? What are the values that we defend, and are we living to those values? And we even include Luana in this conversation, and you'll be amazed when you create the open environment, how much wisdom those small angels have. Really. If they don't speak up, it may be that they don't feel safe. Maybe every time that I told Luana with a harsh voice for us to do something, in the back of her head, what is being formed is every time I do something that my dad don't like, I am punished. I am judged. So she will start to be more afraid of speaking her truth or doing things that I was not planning to do. So I always need to remind myself, okay, no, I need to be open. I want my daughter to reach out for me first if she fucks up later in her life. I don't want her to say, that is going to kill me. I want her to say, I need to talk with my father because he's going to listen to me. And this needs to be a reminder to myself that if I punish on everything that she does that I don't agree with, I am pushing her away. So the main conclusions, at any time we connect with ourselves and see if we are a team and a family, do we have defining intentions? Do we have clear values? Do we have our behaviors aligned with those values? And do we have openness to evolve and to involve also everyone in their own perspectives and imperfection? So now, what does it change? In these times, what is more important to you? Because world is uncertain, it's more uncertain now. Are you dealing and spending your time in what's most important to you? And it's not about getting perfect, it's about connecting, because this is definitely one way that people will remember us, how we make them feel. So more about us. Please reach out to us if you want to chat or just exchange thoughts. This started as an experiment, and we have been receiving content even from organizations to help them cope more with the current COVID situation, be it in a term of workshops or even parenting mentoring, which was something that clearly was not planned, but it started to happen because those kind of spaces for parents are not that common. We also invite you to give us some feedback. So, sorry, you have this QR code. We are also going to share in the chat and afterwards on an email, but it would be lovely if you could type in right now, because we know the rates of responses will drop as soon as you finish this call. So I'm sharing on the chat now. If you need to go, we'd love you to having you here. We are still going to be here for just 5 minutes if you want to share anything, but it was a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Cristina, for accepting the challenge, Gary to also help on the logistics, and everyone to be with us until this time in the evening, okay?
Thank you, Rafa. Thank you, all of you.
Thanks very much. Thank you.